We are live! It's racing like never before! Introducing Racing Xtra!
Chautauqua very late. Can he do it? Chautauqua, he's flying! Right side throw, touchdown!
Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang!
Great stars! Yes! She got up!
He's just perfect. And that's
Sweet it is! Going will win the grand final!
It's time!
Well, hello guys, and welcome back to episode 9 of Racing Xtra. We're here with a special Cox Plate edition. I'm Bella King, and joining me as always is Luke Dittman. Now, Luke, before we get too deep into the Cox Plate chat, how bloody good was the Everest?
Oh, Everest was nuts. We were obviously down there, and as you can hear from my voice, I was screaming at a few winners and a few losers. But it was a great day. The ATC put on a wild show, and it's only been getting bigger and better every year. So I look forward to being there next year, maybe 72 beers less.
It was such a good day. I think the ATC have done such a good job as branding it as a young people's race day. I go to Magic Millions every year, the Winter Carnival up in Queensland, and they do a great job here also, but just the amount of young people at the races almost outnumbered the older generation is sort of the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, and it's sort of a turning point for racing because it is looked at as an older guy's game or an older person's game, but we need that 18 to 30-year-olds to step in and replace those people as they sort of fade out. So it's good grabbing their interest, and it's hard at the same time because they don't necessarily go for what the older generation go for. So to bring in sort of that Joel Corey vibe after the last and turn it into a bit of a party, I know some people look at it and go, oh, it's not really the prestige of racing, but for it to survive, it's got to happen. And yeah, look, I'm all for it if we've still got racing the way it is in 50 years' time.
Oh, absolutely. And just like even the Sweet Caroline, it's still stuck in my head, but seeing the audience flood from the amphitheatre, I suppose, and then coming out to the straight and singing that song, and then even on our way out, when you go down and then it's Joel Corey playing, we couldn't even get through the crowd to get home.
It's nuts, and you've got the horses playing at Moonee Valley for the Cox Plate this weekend, and then you've got that last weekend. It just brings that vibe, and look, I think I was standing on a table when that was going and looking out over the crowd. So you got 70,000 people there all singing in tune. It's quite a wild vibe.
Great, it was awesome. So anyway, now racing chat. Your contender-pretender for the Everest.
Well, my pretender was quite easy because it was scratch the barriers.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I took a sigh of relief or I was a bit disappointed to see how he's going to run. But obviously Traffic Warden will face up another day, and it looks sad to Connections. And you got a $20 million race and he wasn't able to take part. But my contender actually ran well. It was always going to be one of those races where you could run it 10 times and probably have 8 or 9 different winners. And it just so happened to be Bella Nipotina on Saturday. But Growing Empire run well, led home the 3-year-olds, and look, it's a tough task for any horse, especially for what's looked as a juvenile horse in those races. So
Definitely.
It's a big run.
Those 3-year-olds were so well represented on the day, and I don't think any of them were disappointing.
No, and like I said, look, there weren't many disappointing runs in the race, and that's the way it's got to be. It's the premier sprint race in the country, and it's got the prestige and the money next to it, and obviously it was a Group 1 on Saturday, so you don't want to be riding a bad one as a jock, and you don't want to be facing up a bad run as a trainer or an owner, that's for sure.
No, well, talking about disappointing, poor I Wish I Win. I'm glad to hear he's pulled up okay. Still questions around whether he might return to the tracks, or Peter Moody said it's up to the horse. We'll see when he comes back. If he shows us he wants to be here, we'll continue on. What did you make of the run? Just completely flat?
Look, his run in transit probably wasn't the best. He was back last or second last, sort of 4 deep, and it's tough. He's carrying top weight. He's against the best sprinters in the world, and he didn't have the best run in the race, and you can understand why he didn't finish off like he did. We've seen his turn of foot at the Valley the last couple of starts, and he certainly didn't show it on Saturday. So I think Moods and Catherine know him better than anyone, so they'll probably be understanding when they see the run and understanding how he pulls up. But that certainly wasn't his best, and I think he can bounce back.
Agree. Well, our winner, Bella Nipotina, wow. I don't want to say that she was overlooked, but when you have a field like this, everyone's sort of, any horse is in contention of the race. But I must say, on a personal note, I did not expect to see her going forward and sitting 3 wide the trip.
No, her run wasn't easy at the best either. Like, it was one of those races too, with 200 to go, I was screaming at Growing Empire because that was my bet of the race. And then when Clayton's horse got up the inside and kicked forward, I was screaming at that for sort of the redemption run. And then obviously Bella's come over the top of both of them. So it was a wild roller coaster of emotions all within that last 150 metres. But I suppose everyone went through it. And look, my cash wasn't on her, but yeah, it's good to see Craig get the win and the team get the win. And what he did after the race, he come back out and he showed the kids the cup or the trophy. It's what racing needs. As much as I can be a tough taskmaster on him, and I've been Willett a few times, but he is great for racing, and the way he reaches out to the fans and he uplifts racing is huge for the game.
Oh, he's doing a brilliant job. And like you said, I think he spent half an hour or so after the race, once he weighed out, coming back and interacting, and the photos that came from the day, like the amount of kids that he took photos with that would probably come to the sport afterwards and just be hooked for life. He's the perfect pin-up boy for racing.
Exactly. And going back to what we need, those kids who get a set of goggles off him or hold
take a photo with the 20 million trophy.
Like that trophy's worth a fortune itself, and he's passing around like pass the parcel, and there's 7-8-year-old kids holding it. Like if they're not back at they're not back at the races in 10 years' time, then I'll eat my hat. But like he's brilliant at it, and no one does it better.
And the Willow storyline too, being taken off of Giga Kick last year to then come in and beat Giga Kick. Giga Kick, that was an enormous training performance. I don't want to take away from that, but like hats off to Willow there.
Well, he got. I don't know the full story there, but he rode Growing Empire start before and probably should have won on it. And then he's got off Giga Kick, or he's got taken off Giga Kick, and then he's got on Bella Nipotina and then run over the top of him. Like if there's a stuff you in racing, he'll never say it because he's much more of a gentleman than I am, but that's it. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he went past the post and stuck the two fingers up. But yeah, we all saw what was going through his mind when he picked up the win.
Oh, definitely. Giga Kick, wow though, like coming back as strong as he has, that is a massive training performance from Clayton Douglas. Seeing the horse when he returned, he obviously had a long layoff with injury. Returning to the track, I looked at him in the yard and I was just like, oh my gosh, this horse looks so fat and so hairy. And that was through the television. And then seeing him in the yard on Saturday, he showed up. He looked immaculate. He was primed and ready to go. And hats off to Clayton for being able to set that goalpost and show up on the day and run second. Yeah. That was huge.
Well, I owe him an apology, Clayton, because the whole way through his prep, he always said, look, the Everest is our grand final. He'll be ready for it. And I was one of the doubters. I thought, his runs were a bit fair. I know he was only just getting sort of beat maybe a length or so by good horses, but he wasn't the same Giga Kick that I'd seen in previous years.
Of a spark about him.
But look, he only got nailed on the line by a decent horse on Saturday, and hats off to Clayton because he was right the whole way through. He tipped him and he ran a belter of a race.
Enormous run. Few other good runs. We had Jolie Star. She started as our favourite. I don't think she was disappointing, and she heads off to the Golden Eagle after this. Do you think she'll suit better trip over the 1500?
I think it's a much better race for her coming up the Golden Eagle. And look, like I said, they're tough races, and you could have run that race another 10 times and have 10 different winners or 8 different winners. So it was a huge run from her, but she just couldn't get the chocolates.
Yeah, Steffi Magnetica's in the same boat, heading off to the Golden Eagle afterwards. I think she's a horse, we've obviously seen her best was her Stradbroke performance over the 1400 metres. I think she'll be much the same heading into a Golden Eagle, maps up perfectly for her and just got a little bit too far back in that field.
Exactly, I think so. Whether or not she's good enough to beat Jolie Star in an Eagle is a different story, but look, she's a Group 1 contender and she's
a tough mare.
Oh, yeah, I know she is. She's a very tough mare, so I wouldn't take too much away from the Everest runs on both horses, and I'd be sticking to my form into the Golden Eagle with those extra bit of distance for both of them.
Well, we're going to head down to Caulfield now for your Tenacity Cranes Lift of the Week. And Harry Coffey, wow.
Oh, the man deserves every accolade he gets. I think you brought up his comments and about how he felt in the jockey's room and what he's overcome as a jockey. And I don't want to lean on this because it's got nothing to do with sort of the man and the rider that he is. But if anyone deserved it, it was him. Like take a bow, he took off at the sort of 600 and put the pressure on the horses chasing him. And to be honest, it was a ride that won him the race because Buckaroo was coming, and Buckaroo, for lack of a better term, just missed the boat a bit. And that was my tip, and it was the only horse hitting the line. But yeah, good on you, Harry. Well done. The trophy's in the cabinet. The money's in the bank.
Absolutely. And to win such a prestigious race, like you said, his post-race comments, they really struck me in that, I can't remember direct quote, but he kind of underestimates himself, and from what I took from that was that he doesn't feel like he is a Group 1 rider in the jockey room. So to overcome, whether someone's telling you that directly, but that's self-talk and that doubt within yourself to then make a mid-race move that was so bold and to win one of the most prestigious Group 1s in the sprint car. That is an enormous feat.
And 100%. And you got to have the balls as a jockey. And the biggest self-doubt you'll ever get, or the biggest doubter you'll ever have, is yourself. So I understand his comments. Like, you walk into a room and it's full of your Blake Shins and your Zaras and your James McDonalds, and you go, every now and again you go, do I belong here? But look, he stamped himself on Saturday, and that's a massive confidence boost. Mate, if you're listening, like, hold your head high, because you've got a Caulfield Cup in your trophy cabinet. Not many jockeys do. So I'd be going out there for the next one firmly believing you can win it. Yeah. And doesn't matter what anyone says, you're there to do a job, and you did it on Saturday. So well done.
I think Adrian Bott actually said last week on the show that when you get that Group 1, you tick that box, it gives you such a confidence booster to then go out and keep performing at that elite level. So I hope he takes that in his stride, because he's one of the good guys. You'd love to see him keep getting these.
100%. And look, he'll come out this weekend and he'll feel invincible.
Yeah.
Whether or not he rides 4 winners or he rides none, I can guarantee you'll step on that track and he'll feel absolutely unbeatable. And as a jockey, you have to be like that, because that inward confidence is projected as outward confidence, and it gives your owners, and even the horse can feel when you on your A game. And look, we deal with margins of millimetres, so if you can get that extra millimetre out of them, it's the extra win on the day.
Yeah, the 1%'s all the difference.
100%.
All right, well, talking about the 1%, let's jump into the Cox Plate. And do we think that little 1% of a mishap at track work on Tuesday is going to affect old Via Sistina?
I'd hate to see a 10% if that was 1%.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if my percentages were
James
there,
has James has a hole in his undies after that turn in the corner. But look, I'm just glad that both horse and rider are okay. Obviously, it's scary for the whole team. And
someone had an awkward conversation with Chris Waller that day.
I can imagine that he ripped his hair out at the top of that straight when she stumbled. But as for it affecting her, look, I don't think it will. She had a good gallop round Moonee Valley with no weight on her back. I don't think she would have overexerted herself to the point where she's ruined herself for Saturday. And look, Chris has got the best team in the world behind him. I'm sure the vets will go over and they'll have up until Saturday morning to figure out if they're going to scratch her or not. But it's her grand final.
Yeah.
She's had 5 days to sort of get over the run. She's had a good blowout. And look, if I was a betting man, she takes part in that field, not a problem.
Oh, definitely. Worse things have happened, and she has proved she's back up with her A game. Like, she dominated in the Turnbull, and I think this race is just going to be perfect for her.
Oh, 100%. Look, she earns her place in it. James goes down and gets on her. And look, it's a tough race for a small field, but look, she's well in the market, and she's well supported, and so she should be.
How do you feel about broadsiding here? He was a bit of a victim of Caulfield's Sydney Sider curse last start in the Guineas. Do you think he shapes up in this field with the no weight he sees?
He's a big if for me, simply because on ability against these horses, even though he's a great animal himself, I don't think he can beat them. But you give those horses 10 kilos, like, he's got no weight.
Huge.
He's got no weight as a 3-year-old. He ran well when he ran down there, and he had a bad run. He was on the worst part of the track. He then had to get out. He had to travel, and he had all the negatives against him, and he still run home for 4th. Look, I couldn't be backing him, but it wouldn't surprise me if he turned up and he did something. But yeah, it's just it's a flip of the coin for me. Like, if he turns up and he's broadsiding with no weight, he could very well get the job done. But it's just a tough one.
Yeah, but with how far back he got in the run in the Guineas, and then to storm home and hit the line, like you said, for 4th, that was a huge run. And I just think that little bit extra might be exactly what he needs as a backmarker in this race. But the Valley's tough. If you can't handle Caulfield, I have questions about the Valley.
100%. And it'll all boil down to where he ends up in the run. And look, if he turns that corner and he's only got sort of a length to make up, then it may very well be the difference, because he'll be the only one that won't be fatiguing with 49.5 kilos on his back. But look, if he's any further back than that, and you've got that 160-metre run in against older horses who are seasoned, who know the Valley, makes it tough, makes it very tough.
Joining him from the Guineas is Evaporate, and the Lindsay Park team had huge raps on him heading into the Guineas. He had a really tough run. He was pretty much 3 wide the trip, but he also stormed home well. And to have a prep where you've broken your maiden, I think he broke his maiden second up, I want to say, and then to win a Group 2 and then to run in the placings in a Guineas, that is huge. Do you think he stacks up to the field as a 3-year-old as well, or a bit out of his depth?
I think he's a little bit out of his depth. Take nothing away from him because he's a very good 3-year-old, but the emphasis is on that 3-year-old. If we're going to back one, we're going to be backing broadsiding.
Yeah.
I think you run that race a little bit different the start before, and broadsiding probably runs over the top of him. So, yeah, if I had to pick one of those youngsters, it wouldn't be him. And nothing against his ability, I just don't think he's up to it at this level.
He's another one I'm questioning at the distance as well. His sire, Per Encanto, has not thrown a winner over this distance, and that's a bit of a concerning thing if you're into your breeding, I suppose. But this horse loves the Valley and has won every time he's come here. I'm in two minds about this.
You know, you've just reverse jinxed it, right?
I'm sorry.
You've just reverse jinxed him, so now he comes out and wins. But look,
hopefully he does. He's at juicy odds.
There's no rule to breeding. That's one thing I've learnt is you can do form on breeding back to day dot and go, this horse won't get the mile, or this horse won't get 2,400 metres, and then it'll come out and win by 4, or this horse is a sprinter and it doesn't get it can't get hot unless it goes over 2,000 metres. So look, I know it's against him, but back again, you got no weight, which is a big help. So it ends up being a 200 metre sort of shorter race for those horses because they don't have to carry that allotted sort of 59 kilos for the 2,040 metres.
Yeah. Another horse we're questioning over the distance is Docklands, the arrival from Harry Eustace. How do you think he shapes up in this race?
I was quite surprised that they didn't aim for a Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
You got that European stayer, been running at Ascot in France and those kind of things.
All of his winning forms from 1,400 to the mile.
I know, but it's just, look, it's very hard to stack up sort of that English form because they run their races so differently. Now, they breed the best stayers in the world, arguably, and this is getting on that borderline staying race. Like, I know it's 2,000 metres, so it's hard to say that, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ran a good race, especially he's got all the favours. He's got Blake Shin on board. He's got the good alley, but I just don't think – I think he's a place chance at best.
Yeah. I'll be interested. We'll talk more about Jenny later, but this horse has shown really good early speed and he's drawn the rails. I wouldn't be surprised if he might absorb some of that tempo from Pride of Jenny.
It's one of those things. Look, you're never going to lead that mare, but you've got to do something to bring it back to you. So – I don't think we'll see a Major Beal type ride, but I think, especially from Via Sistina and those kind of horses, they're not going to let her get out by 3 and 4 lengths. So he very may well lead the field up from that alley, or lead the field up to Jenny from that alley. So it'll be interesting to see come Saturday.
Our other import, Prognosis, and wow, this horse looks so promising. I've loved following him since he was obviously first in contention and talks of coming over. But my concern here is, I'm sure the rest of Australia agrees, is can he jump with them? Because if he does, he will just take on Pride of Jenny, I believe. But if he doesn't jump with them, watching his replays, he takes 2 or 3 strides to really balance up, find his rhythm and get into the run. And at the Valley, that can cost you the race.
He's the best horse in the race for me.
100%.
If this was fair on level terms and a straight 2,040 metres, he's the best horse in the world. He's the best horse in the race. But
big call, best horse in the world.
Not the best horse in the world. Like, he did get beat by a Romantic Warrior a few times, but anyway, he's the best horse.
The form behind Romantic Warrior, wow.
100%. Like, his runs in Japan and his runs in Hong Kong are huge.
Yep.
Like, he is a very, very good horse. The doubt I have is if he gets away. And what gave me a little bit of doubt is I know Frosty or Damien Lane isn't the biggest hype man in the world, but I watched him talk about him the other day at Breakfast with the Best, and he was just a touch flat on him. Now, whether or not that's just Frosty being Frosty, which it very well could be, but it didn't instill me full of confidence.
No, saying that he gets so restless in the gates, and the team have come out and said afterwards that they've been working with a lot of experts. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the farm that he went to, but they've been doing so much work with this horse to have him primed to jump and be with them. And then, like you said, for Frosty to come out and say that, I was a bit like, oh, do I want to take the risk here?
It's one of those hard ones too because he falls into that Stormboy category. Like, if he jumps clean, he's a 2 lengths better horse than if he doesn't jump clean. And you're not at a track that can give you those favours. You're not at a Flemington where if he's slow away, you've got 450 metres to work into. Like, if he's 6 lengths off the leader turning the corner, he can't win. I don't care how good he is. He just can't win. But
yeah, the Valley's unforgiving.
It'll be a flip of the coin come Saturday, and if Frosty gets him out, then I'll be doing my money. if Frosty doesn't get him out, then we might have some hope of picking a winner.
Another one that I'm probably probably more intrigued to see this horse run, Royal Patronage. I think he'll be questionable to see out the stiff 2,000 metres here. He's yet to be out of the placings, led and appears to have his chance, but I don't know. He wasn't strong at the end of the 1,900 metres in the Hill Stakes, so I just can't see him running well here today.
Yeah, it's just, look, he jumps and he's on pace, and I think he can be there this race with the other import. But look, the 2,000 metres or 2,040 metres might just be a touch far. If anyone can get one fit, it's Gain Adrian.
That's true.
And this would have been on the list from day dot. Like, this is one of the classics. So it'd be interesting to see, but look, I can't have him for my mind.
What do you think about Kovalika here? Chris Waller declared that he's obviously aiming for the Cup, but was happy to see him run at the 2,000 metres in the Cox Plate just due to the small field.
Yeah.
But he needs to run a career best to be winning this race.
I think this is a bit out of his depth.
He's been a punish for the punters lately.
He has. Look, he's got outside alley. It's not his grand final, as Chris has already said. And
Yeah.
I think throw up the stumps was really the 9-horse field. And look, there's still a bit of money for running ninth. So you can use it as not so much of a barrier trial, but if you can try beat a few home, it's a good payday for the owners, and it's a good win for Chris. But I don't think he'll be fighting out the contention come Saturday.
Let's move on to our two headline acts. Mr. Brightside, the ever consistent horse. I can't help but love this horse. Every time I see him in the yard, you just want Mr. B to win, but can he go third time lucky in the Cox Plate?
I don't think he can. He runs as my pretender this week. He's a bloody smart horse. But look, have we not learnt our lesson at the Valley? He just lets him get away. And I know that's not entirely his fault as a racehorse, but he just doesn't have the legs and the stamina to pick him up.
Yeah.
And we throw in the mix that he's had 6 goes at the 2,000 metres or over, and he hasn't been able to pick up one. I know he's been running seconds and thirds, but it still doesn't get you the trophy. So I can't have him. Could I have him as a place chance? Definitely.
Yeah.
He'll be running into the contention, or he'll be holding on for a place for sure, but I just don't think he can win this race on the weekend.
If I was to have faith in this horse, I am relying, like we said, on that 1%. Blinkers go on. He was in the photo last year. Sorry, winkers go on. Could that make the little 1% difference? Or just with Jenny in this race, he's been looking for a better term. He's been looking at the arse end of Jenny his whole prep. Will the winkers do the trick with Jenny? I don't think it will.
I think it's another one of those races. You look at last year's Cox Plate, and he had all the favours, and he still got beat on the line. And it's nothing against the horse. It's one of those things in racing that he needs something to go wrong for other runners for him to win on Saturday, and that's a big if in a Group 1 Classic.
Yeah.
If he won, I'd be cheering like everyone else, and he deserves it. But I just think he's left to fate a little bit, where he can have the ride of the race like he did last year, and he can still not get the job done. Like if Romantic Warrior gets held up last year, he's a Cox Plate winner, and he wasn't, and that was the difference between first and second.
Well, your contender this week is little
the great
superstar.
man. I love this horse. Like, she's such a good mare. And you go back to last week and her run in the big race last week, and everyone's talking about everyone else's rides, but everyone forgets she still hung on for second. And it was huge, and she was at a track that doesn't favour that sort of hot tempo, in the fact that she got taken on and she still battled to the line and was only run over late, and she gets to a track that she loves. She's a Moonee Valley specialist. Like, this is her grand final. Kieran's going to have her like primed and ready, and if she's pulled up this week, which all reports she has, like, if she gets the ride from Declan that she gets every other time, and he knows her better than everyone else, she is my horse to beat. I think she turns the corner 2 in front, and I think she is very, very hard to run down.
I'm with you there. The Valley is Jenny's track. It needs to be renamed, honestly. Like, that slingshot effect, she just loves it. She thrives off of it. I think she's going to be so hard to run down here if she's not flat after the trip to Sydney and the travel down. But a mare like her, I doubt it.
She's seasoned. She does this campaign day in, day out. The team know her backwards. Declan knows her backwards. Look, if she's 100% on Saturday and she gets the ride from Declan that I think she's going to get, she's just not going to get run down.
Well, speaking of, we have a special phone call coming in from the jockey himself, Declan Bates. So let's have a chat to Declan and pick his brains. All right, Declan, how are you feeling in the lead up to the Cox Plate, being on the sweetheart of spring, Pride of Jenny?
Yeah, feeling great. Just looking forward to it now. Always looking forward to riding her every time she's in. So yeah, look, by all reports, she's come out of last Saturday well. So it's it's all systems go.
What was going through your head as you guys jumped and Major Bill was just holding you out the entirety?
Look, I was just trying not to overthink it. It didn't surprise me to an extent that he did sort of hold out for a while. Surprised me maybe how long he held out, but look, I tried not to sort of let it negatively affect us. I think I was always going to end up in front of him, so I tried, and it's a nice long straight down that back at Randwick, so I tried to just sort of ride my own race and sort of blend forward. As I said, I was always going to get to the front, so it was just a matter of letting her get there. She probably did get a little bit lit up, sort of coming around that horse, but yeah, look, we just focus on her.
I think her run was huge too. Like, there's been a lot of talk about how everything rode to beat her, but like she's only been beaten by one on the line, and Chow Wolf got sort of the easiest run of the race, and the fact that she held on for second, like she runs into the Cox Plate this weekend, and it's her grand final. Like, I'd be glowing if I was you.
Yeah, I thought she ran huge. You know, obviously Wolf is just absolutely flying at the minute, and I think I think he ran huge to run her down. But I love the way sort of my Oberon come to me early in the straight, like he was going to go past, but she knuckled down to hold him off, and then just got sniped by one which was flying home. But and the way she done it, the way she sort of looked to be at the top of the straight, but sort of really maintained it to the line, suggests to me that, you know, going to 2,000 meters is going to be a big plus.
Definitely. And she's as tough as they come. Is it back to business as usual at the Valley this weekend? Just jump forward and lead and rely on that slingshot effect of the Valley?
Look, we'll ride the race as we find it. Each race is different. I find we're going from a big galloping track like Randwick to Mooney Valley, more of a tight track. So you sort of, I think we'll be tweaking a few things, but look, we'll talk through with the team over the next few days as regards tactics. But look, everybody knows it pretty well at this stage. I think in the past we've maybe we're able to catch a few off guard. We certainly won't be catching anybody off guard anymore, but that's not to say she can't still do her thing. But yeah, look, we'll discuss it over the next few days as regards tactics, but we'll be ready on the day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, she seems like the type of mare that will tell you what she wants. Like, every time I've watched you ride her, you can see that moment in the race where you go, okay, like, you want to go a bit quicker, or you want to steady up, or like not so much that you're a passenger because you still got to ride her, but she's like, what's it like riding such a smart mare that she knows she's a racehorse and what she's capable of?
Yeah, you're probably right there. There's certainly some days where, you know, I'll have my plan and I try and work with her to execute that, and there's probably been occasions where she's just been really on it, and I know that the days when she's really on it like that, you probably just got to go with her to a certain extent, because if you get in a fight, she's only gonna work against you. But she's as she's matured, she has become better at sort of working with me. So sometimes the first sort of 600 is somewhat of a little bit of a negotiation between the two of us as to how we do it.
You're like an old married couple these days, you and her.
Yeah, that's it. And like married couples, usually it's the female that's in charge. So I got to
Mate, I'm with you.
Work
You're
with
a
her.
smart man giving up the leadership.
Yeah, look, I know her very well at this stage, and look, hopefully we can execute it good on Saturday.
Oh, well, I'm all over for the Cox Plate, mate. So I'll be with you and I'll be cheering. So best of luck from my camp.
We all will be. Everyone wants to see Jenny run well. So best of luck, Declan, and thank you so much for joining us on Racing Xtra today.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck. Well, Luke, that was great insight from Declan.
Yeah, brilliant to get the big fella on. But yeah, we're all chips in Jenny here at Racing X, so we'll be cheering, mate.
She's hard to beat here. All right, well, let's move on to our Group 1 in Sydney. We have the Spring Champion. Who's your contender-pretender in this race, Luke?
This race scares me because it's a very, very tough race. And when I got the email saying you got to pick a contender-pretender, I was shaking for sort of 10 minutes. But I've gone 1, 2 here, and I've gone them in order. So my contender is Swift Falcon. He's the best horse in the race for me on ability, but it's the alley and the ride that are key. If he gets the ride and the good steer from Jay, I think he wins. And the difference was probably last start, he just missed the boat a bit when the field was let up, and it was the difference on him winning or losing that race.
Agree.
And I think if the tables are turned here, he gets over the top of them.
Yeah. So that race that you were discussing was the Gloaming, and obviously El Costello, who's your pretender, won that race. Why do you think he'll just be out of it here?
I don't think he's out of it at all. I literally think these horses will go 1-2 at the finish, and so does the market because they're both first and second favourite. But I can't take anything away from this horse because he just keeps winning. But he has had everything go his way in the run, and he's had all the favours. And look, he steps up to the Group 1 here, and if the cards don't fall his way, I just think Swift Falcon gets over the top.
Yeah.
Now, I've been wrong before, and I could be very wrong here. If we get caught deep on Swift Falcon, or there's a bit of a hold up in play, then look, he wins for me, and Swift Falcon runs second. But yeah, the exacta will be my play on Saturday, but it'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough watch, I reckon.
Definitely. I don't want to take anything away from El Costello. Obviously, winning 3 in a row, broke his maiden first up, but that last run in the Gloaming is the first time I've had confidence in the horse. That was the first time we've seen him jump with them and run home well. It was an impressive win. But I just think first winning prep, he's going to flatten out at some stage, and I do think it is in this race.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we're right. I think he's running for second.
Yeah, agree. And the rest of the field, I think most of this field, did run in the Gloaming, and I think Henley, off of the run that we saw there, I know he definitely wants further. He's got the inside draw and the visors on, but he's still racing so green, and with the inside draw, that might be an advantage. Just by racing green, I mean, like when he runs, he's sort of hanging in on that one rein, and he just doesn't want to kind of run on. He's too distracted.
They're still learning the craft too. And if you go back to the last race, which is where we're trying to take all our form out of at the moment, there are only 2 eye-catching runs, and they were the 2 that we mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see that colt obviously run home well, and I think he is a good horse, but like I said, he is so green. He ran the fastest last 600 in the Gloaming, but if there's any horse that might run over the top of them, the first 2, like you said, Swift Falcon and El Costello, I think it'd be Henley, and I don't think we can look any further into this field.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Right, well, who's your best bet for this weekend, Luke?
This was a hard weekend to pick, but I go to the Get Out Stakes at Moonee Valley, and I'm going to be hated for this, I'm sure. But I suppose not. But my best bet is Firestorm. I just think you rule out the Epsom run and the runs before that. She's been running huge, and look, she gets Frosty on board, good alley. Too good for me, I think. And the price, $330, $350 at the moment. I think you take that all day, and she starts shorter.
Yeah, she's a great mare, and if you can get a bit of value early, why not? I'm in the same boat with you with a bit of value, but I do think this horse is going to come into favouritism. I'm heading to race 4 at Randwick, Smashing Time. I'm sticking with our old mate Tommy. This horse won at Winks odds at Kembla Grange last start, really had to dig deep for that win. This is the first time we see the horse in town, but just seeing that little bit of grit that he had in the run, I think that is a winning factor, and I think he deserves to be in town. So I think with the beautiful draw of barrier 3 and the lightweight on his back, Tommy will be a great rider for this, and I think $3.40 at the moment, so I'm taking the odds there.
Bit of value, or at least for now. But no,
for now.
I'm with you. It's the step up is the question mark for me, but the way the horse won last start is probably the difference between whether you would or wouldn't take it, and showed the fight, showed the grit, and yeah, I'd be on as well.
Hopefully stacks up to being a town horse, but we've got a lot to watch this weekend, massive weekend of racing. Gotta love spring. It's like never-ending fun.
Oh, 100%. Like, I wish I was down there for Cox Plate Day, but yeah, we'll be down there next weekend.
We'll be down there for Derby. I'm so excited for that.
I got a week to rest the vocal cords before I start screaming again, but yeah, I cannot wait. It's a great time of the year, and we'll go nuts.
Definitely. Well, on that note, we will catch you guys next weekend on Racing Xtra. Racing Xtra is proudly brought to you by Corpshaw. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts for a next-gen racing experience.